I want to segue into another important topic that came out of Parliament, the conversation about term limits. I know that's very ticklish for, let me be frank, both B and D would have this conversation about term limits. Because you can't say on one end that while I'm in power, it is okay for me to have an inordinate amount of times to rule. The Dems would have liked to stay on after 2018. So the argument can't now be that, oh, you must have term limits because the Bs are in, but when I am in, it shouldn't be that. How do you come to some sort of consensus? To me, it is difficult in deciding if you're going to have term limits. How much is it going to be? Because then there is also the thinking as well too. There are brilliant minds who can live past what we would deem as a shelf life for a politician. Do we say to them that because you've reached 50, it's time for you to switch off like that and go on home when you have more contributions to make? So I don't know, it's a very challenging discussion. I don't have the answers. Perhaps you could shed some light on that.
I don't want to pretend I have the answers either. But let me say that I share the view that you are pointing me to, and which is that we should have a conversation about term limits. Look, let's be frank. The Prime Minister has just indicated that she will take the party into what will effectively be the third term if she secures the confidence of the people. And that will therefore now be, as I said, the third term at which she will be Prime Minister. There are two things in this conversation. Should there be a limit on the amount of time that or amount of terms that any political party should be able to spend in office as a government? I think the answer to that is no. I think the judgment of the people determines how long they are going to put up with any particular government. Having said that, we just saw in Canada a situation where a prime minister who had done 2 terms decided that he was going to step down and he was going to have an open an opportunity for there to be an open contest within the ruling party in Canada, and a new prime minister emerged and he led them successfully into an election. The truth of the matter is that it is necessary, I believe, for us all to realize that as we now deal with it, there is a great degree of confidence in, and I would like to take it out of just this prime minister, because this prime minister enjoys an enormous amount of confidence in the people of Barbados' hearts and minds. That has not always been the case. There are some prime ministers who have enjoyed very little confidence in the hearts and minds of people. I think the question of term limits really is one of your concern about the advancing age, perhaps, of a prime minister. The concern that you raise about people who are beneath the tiers beneath the level of prime minister who will want to naturally see a way up and come forward. It also is about maintaining a level of freshness, because there is a school of thought that after a period of time, many people start to take things for granted. I don't have a problem with any of those things. I believe that it is the judgment of the country that if you're going to give one person a second term and then a third term, that you factor into the equation whether that individual has behaved in office in a way that keeps you with a view that, look, I can continue to have confidence that this person is not going to be overly arrogant, overly abusive of power. And I think that is the real fear that the Democratic Labour Party has. Let's be very real. The constant carping and criticism about dictatorship and so on is not only about emptiness of policy on their side. I ain't got much to say, so personal attacks and innuendo I will always have. That's the easiest thing to do. But it is also about the fact that they hope that this can pelt in that mud on the wall, something may stick, and somebody will say, boy, she's been there too long, so let me look for somebody else, even though that person really is full of nothingness.
Because they're offering nothing for the populace to vote. So even if you might be saying these things and hearing these ad hominems, like, what are you offering? But the young people want to know, what are you offering besides lip service? We are not hearing any policy. We're not hearing any forms of legislation. We're not here. It's nothingness.
And I feel that my mind takes me back to, I think it was Tom Adams who asked the question, how long is too long if it is good? And I believe that it has been good compared to what we had before, it has been very good in Barbados. And therefore, a third term by this prime minister shouldn't be seen as too long. Now, the fact of the matter is, right next door in St. Vincent, you have a prime minister who is saying he wants to hit them for 6, and Ralph Gonsalves is looking for a 6th term. Should there be a term limit in between there? I do not know what the people of St. Vincent would say, because they believe that they have repeatedly elected him. So this is something that the country can talk about. And I believe that, there's a thing called a referendum. And then perhaps the best way to solve these problems is let's apply our minds to common sense and trust people. Ask people to indicate by a vote whether they feel satisfied that the system we now have works effectively, or whether we would want to impose on that system a limit on how often a prime minister can seek re-election.
So is this a suggestion? Is that a suggestion, going to referendum?
I'm saying that, yeah, a referendum is the best way to solve that problem.
But hopefully we educate the people before the referendum.
Of course.
We saw Brexit, but we don't want a repeat of that.
No, the Brexit. Barr did 3 terms, and there was not a fella who would tell you at Barr's 2nd term that he should not have gone a chance for a 3rd.
Okay.
Owen Alpha did 3 terms. People were saying Alpha more than ever at the 2nd term. Yeah, I mean, we have seen it in Barbados. And the truth of the matter is that, again, the confidence of the people is such that they will give that individual a 3rd term, and then they vote that individual out. They did it with Barra. They did it with Arthur.
And that's the beauty of democracy.
And that's the beauty of democracy. And I trust the people to make wise decisions. So if it is an issue, then let it be an issue that the people resolve by way of a vote among themselves, among ourselves as Barbadians. We say, this is what we want for the future.
Understood.
But it has worked for us fairly well so far.